As a child, I owned a PlayStation, meaning I spent my days rescuing orange fuzzballs from imps and traversing the increasingly surreal streets of New Jersey as a purple horned-hooded bat thing. The adventures of Mario and friends passed me by, at least until I got a GameCube much later, and started rocking Luigi's Mansion, best game ever, despite what everyone else in the world says. By then, I'd completely missed out on Conker's Bad Fur Day. I only know it exists because my fiancée had it herself when she was a child. The great thing about video games is that because a lot of parents look upon it as a childish hobby, they don't pay any attention to the 3 or 4 "mature players only, 17 and up" stickers plastered all over the box, and so children everywhere were free to enjoy the adventures of a foul-mouthed, alcoholic squirrel as he traverses through a land of big-breasted sunflowers, scouser dung beetles, anthropomorphic turds, and zombies so scary Resident Evil could only watch from afar in envy, and other such delights. My fiancée is extremely enamoured with this game, even continuing to own both it and a working N64 because she does nerding right. Because my tiny, delicate hands, lovingly raised on the petite curves of a PlayStation controller, cannot wield the unholy monstrosity that is an N64 controller, I decided to play this game on an emulator and see what I thought of it. For all that a game about a lewd, foul-mouthed squirrel could have been just a cheap, clunky piece of crap selling off its own controversy, looking at you GTA 1 and 2, Conker's Bad Fur Day is surprisingly good, boasting a mind-bogglingly large variety of gameplay, excellent graphics and artistic design, a solid soundtrack, and about as much voice acting as a BioWare game. The fact that they managed to fit all of this into an N64 cartridge was nothing short of wizardry, and I certainly hope Rareware got the credit they deserved back when this game was current. Conker's Bad Fur Day doesn't have much going on in the way of plot. Basically, the plucky red squirrel gets plastered at a bar and gets lost on his way home, ending up in a series of bizarre, surreal, and completely unrelated adventures. The game apparently was meant to copy the comedic stylings of South Park, which I'd argue that it failed to do, but in the best way possible. South Park in its infancy was a show that milked shocking taboo humour for all it was worth. "Ooh, these young children are swearing! Ooh, that child in the park had died violently! Oh, there's poo everywhere, and one of the poos is even anthropomorphic and can sing!" Granted, Conker had ubiquitous Arsgravius well, and a living turd pile, but the great mighty poo is such a better character than Mr. Hanky, no contest. Much nicer singing voice as well. Anyway, whereas South Park lived and breathed only in these puerile moments piled one after another, Conker's Bad Fur Day has a trifle more wit to it, with the long, rambling conversations characters often get into being delightfully balmy and meandering. There's also a degree of innocence to Conker's humour. While it's not 100% perfect, most of the content is just good old-fashioned bodily fluids, shagging and ultra-violence, which are all fine by me. South Park, on the other hand, has a nasty streak, which only continued to grow more prominent as the show went on, and it's refreshing to see that none of that side of things made it into Conker's script. As for the gameplay, like I said, it's mind-bogglingly varied for an N64 game, and each of its components tend to be remarkably well designed. Even the third-person shooter gameplay got more tolerable once I worked out that I could turn down my move sensitivity on my emulator, and in fact, most of the control issues I experienced while playing this game were likely down to the fact that I was playing it on a keyboard, which it obviously wasn't designed for. However, there are lots of sections where it's not immediately obvious what to do, and you can only really poke around by trying everything you can think of until you finally stumble upon the same strand of logic the designers had in mind when they designed the puzzle in question. But that's certainly not a trait unique to Conker. I never ever got past the sleeping chicken in Ocarina of Time, and this was when I was a significantly older sprog playing it on the GameCube. Conker can also, at times, be frustratingly difficult, though that's offset by a usually forgiving autosave and checkpoint system that means you're never too far behind your point of death. The timed escape from the island in It's War, however, earns special mention as a particularly brutal gauntlet that required nothing less than perfection to survive. It's pretty clear from the footage I uploaded that Conker had me absolutely furious at parts, though as far as I'm concerned, that's not necessarily a negative reflection on the game. Who among us doesn't get nice and pissed off at a game every now and then? At least getting angry at an orange squirrel is a welcome distraction from the existential horror and abstract dread that is my mental state most of the rest of the time. In conclusion, Conker's Bad Fur Day is a very good game. Taking all the tropes of the then ubiquitous 3D platforming genre and polishing them to a mirror shine, this is a game that was more than just its crude, rude humour. This was a game made with effort and expertise and can easily stand alongside Mario and Zelda as one of the N64 greats, even if Nintendo, for obvious reasons, refuses to dare ever acknowledge that this game existed.